Oklahomans love sports, and fishing ranks high on most lists of great summertime activities. But for some hardcore enthusiasts, using a rod and reel is for lightweights. This breed of fisherman believes life in Oklahoma is really about going one-on-one with some of the state's largest underwater creatures.
Summer in Oklahoma. A lot of us would probably agree that's a great time to grab a cold one and head for our favorite fishing holes.
Damn, I dropped my beard.
But how many of us would actually enter the fish's element and stick our hand into dark and murky water without knowing just what's down there? More than you might expect. The sport is called noodling, and the motto of these hardy, some might say foolhardy, anglers is no hooks, no bait, no fear.
I got him. Got him!
Oklahoma is considered the unofficial capital of noodling, and for 1 week in a year, Pauls Valley becomes the center of the noodling universe. The city is home to the Okie Noodling tournament, which has grown from humble beginnings and now ranks up there with such notable events as Iowa's National Hobo Convention and the Elvis Presley 5K run in Memphis. But this tournament has something those events don't.
You can come here and feast your eyes on gigantic catfish that are lively, catfish that are moving around, large flathead catfish that some children and even adults have never seen a 50, 60-pound catfish like this.
32.54.
32.54 pounds. Let's hear it for him.
Bradley Beesley is the driving force behind the tournament. It was Beesley's 2001 documentary, Okie Noodling, which ignited interest in the culture of hand fishing.
In 2000, we created the first annual Okie Noodling tournament for the film as a plot point and a climax for the film Okie Noodling. 13 years later, the festival has blossomed and grown into this monster that I had no idea it would become. We had 37 competitors that first year. We had about 500 fans that came out. This year, I'm expecting about 10,000 people, and we had 224 noodlers that entered the tournament.
The tournament began here at Bob's Pig Shop. Owner Phil Henderson says, before that, noodling wasn't really considered a sport.
The concept of hand fishing for these big catfish was sort of a local phenomenon. Nobody really was doing it except for just going out to get food.
But media attention, combined with a host of reality shows devoted to the peculiar charms of noodling, has fueled interest in the sport.
Last year we had crews from Japan, crews from Australia, BBC, ESPN. I think with the popularity of shows like Mudcats, as that popularity grows, so will the festival.
Noodling has also taken on an international flavor. Beesley says at that first tournament, all the noodlers were from Oklahoma.
Now, 13 years later, for the 13th annual Okie Noodling tournament, we get noodlers from Australia, Japan, New York, Indiana, Missouri, Russia.
So what's the appeal that draws people to this unique activity?
It's pretty primitive. This is man against beast. There's no technology that makes it easy. It's you and the fish.
And it's definitely not for the faint of heart. For one thing, you have to have a fairly high tolerance for pain.
A catfish has two big plates of filiform teeth. That's a big patch of tiny little spiked teeth. And so when he starts rolling and twitching, and turning, it just saws across your arm.
That's likely to draw blood. But competitive noodlers will tell you, if you ain't bleeding, you ain't leading. There's also an element of danger involved.
You really can't see much in good noodling territory because the waters are murky and super. That way the fish can't see you coming and get panicked and take off. So when you stick your hand down in there, you never know what you're going to come up with.
Woo!
yeah, that's part of the problem. The thought of grabbing a snapping turtle or coming face to face with a sharp-toothed beaver is enough to keep most of us out of the water. But Beesley says noodling draws a more diverse group of fans than you might expect.
Yeah, I think there's a misconception about noodlers that they are crazy or wild or rednecks or something, but I know very well-educated people that like to stick their arm in a hole and get bit by a catfish, myself included.
And it's not just for the men.
To me, walking down the river and catching fish with my bare hands is the most romantic thing anyone could ever do.
Maybe with the right girl, although I doubt I could convince my wife that noodling would be a great date activity. Gary Jones has been noodling since he was a teenager. He has no plans to give it up anytime soon, although he admits he still gets a little scared at times.
I swam up in a beaver dent last night, about probably from me to him, and I got panicky because you ain't supposed to noodle by yourself.
Solo noodling is discouraged for the simple reason that no one should tackle a 60-pound catfish by themselves. Then there are the dangers from people who've left their fishing lines in the water.
If they get sanded in, they'll cut them, and they'll wash up to the bank, and then you'll go up in an old beaver den, and you'll get hung up in them tow lines, and you'll die.
Despite the risk, or maybe because of them, noodling's popularity continues to grow. Dustin Nelm says there's no other sport quite like it.
I love it. I mean, it's adrenaline rush. You don't get another adrenaline rush with fishing. I mean, I love to fish, but I like to catch fish with my hands.
15-year-old Ashley Mclaughlin has been noodling since she was 11.
I mean, it's just something I love to do, something that gives me fun time during summer, like while my friends are swimming or whatever. Noodling's just my thing, something I've grown up doing.
In fact, a lot of younger fans are being drawn to the sport. The tournament features a noodling clinic for kids who want to try their hand, so to speak.
There you go. You got it. Now lock your leg around.
So at what age should someone take up noodling?
If you'll fit in the fish's mouth, I think you probably shouldn't do it. And if you don't, go get it. See what you can do.
As evidenced by the size of the crowds in Pauls Valley, more and more people are doing just that.
He ain't that big, he ain't but that. Well, he's bigger than that other one, but it's too much trouble to try to catch him.